everybody, Dakian here, already here again with another video in the Verthandi series, and you'll see why. I'm gonna make this its own thing. I'm not gonna mix this project in with my Monday ramble videos, and I'll explain why later. First off, the gist of this video is going to be a review of this DVD, Painting Fantasy Figures in Acrylics. Unfortunately, there's not going to be much to look at. I'm just going to get to see the cover of this thing over and over and listen to me talk. So I'll try to be as concise as I can. It's about 90 minutes long, as I said. I think it costs 19 euros if you buy it simply the video off the Andrea website. The package deal with the video and the miniature that goes with it was, I believe, 35 euros. Technically, the picture is fine. There is no speech. There's no voice over. There's just some music playing, and there's subtitles. And you have subtitles in a ton of different European languages, which is okay. There are some technical difficulties with the subtitles, at least the English ones. Occasionally, they will flash by way too quickly, so you can't catch what's being written. And some of these I've gone back and tried to turn on different language subtitles, and I've, with the help of my somewhat limited German knowledge, managed to figure out what it was supposed to say. But in any case, it's almost unfortunately not a huge issue, but because what's being written in the subtitles is usually deadpan obvious. It's like, put the paint on carefully, and, you know, really banal statements. The best part of it is probably the airbrush parts. The parts that are actually airbrushed are they do the early parts of the skin. The base tone and the first highlight and first shade are done with airbrush, and then the details are done with paintbrush. The cloak is done entirely almost with airbrush. It's just a little bit of edging done with a brush. And the green color on the shield is also completely done by airbrush, while the decorations are done by hand. Because there is so much airbrush work that I need to adapt, well, no, I'll talk about that later. First off, the airbrush part goes into some detail about how to mix the paints and what pressure to use on your compressor, and that's good. They do not go into equal amounts of detail when it comes to the brush work. They show which paints they're mixing. The exact ratios are not clear, and the amount of thinning is not described. I mean, I can figure all these things out, but I don't think a beginner would. It's interesting, though, that he uses a fairly large brush, a size 2 for most work, probably because it's such a big figure. Now, to sum up the good and bad with this video, well, I suppose the good is that you see a lot of the application of paint, how it's done. But you have to have some sort of previous knowledge of your own to really understand what's being done. The bad is if you have a lot of previous knowledge. I mean, if you have watched like half of the videos I've reviewed on this channel, or you know, watched a lot of YouTube videos, or you know, gained some knowledge some other way, you pretty much don't need this. I mean, the only thing you'd need this DVD for would be finding out exactly which paints they're using from the Andrea range. And if you're not going to use those paints, you're going to mix your own, well, I mean, there's there's quite an in-depth section on just painting the gem on the shield, and it's the same as painting any other kind of gem. That's probably the best section where they explain the most. The NMM is shown rather extensively. It's not explained in any meaningful way. Yeah, so, and also there is absolutely nothing said about assembly or basing. That's skipped over completely. So, yeah. My conclusion is, you know, proceed with caution, caveat emptor. You really should think about whether you really need this DVD. It's unfortunately caught between a rock and a hard place, where you need a lot of knowledge to understand what's being done here, but if you have a lot of knowledge, you don't need these instructions. You can just figure it out by looking at pictures. You know, you can, well, I can mix my own blue-gray paint to match this, and you know how to shade and highlight, and yeah, just go from there. So that is why I'm going to do a full series of videos on this, because I am not concerned about sort of stealing the content of the DVD, because I'm not going to use the content of the DVD. I'm just going to paint it my own way, and I'm going to have to find my own way to paint the areas that they airbrush in the video using paintbrush anyway, and I'm going to be mixing my own colors and all of that stuff, and I'm going to be explaining more in depth what I'm actually doing on camera. So hopefully you can learn something by watching me. And so this is going to be another series of videos that runs parallel with my others. It's not going to be on a fixed schedule. I'm probably going to divide it up by areas, like, for example, one video about the prep, and one video about painting skin, one about cloth, one about leather, and so forth. Some really large subjects might need 2 videos, like skin, I suppose, is going to take a long time and might run over 2 parts. But they'll get done as I get the model done, and because I'm working out in parallel with other projects, I can't hold to any fixed schedule. But anyway, that is what you have to look forward to. Hopefully some of you will be interested in following along, and it's going to be somewhat of a journey of discovery for me, painting this 54mm figure for the first time. And I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, this is Dakian, signing off.